Hello and welcome back. Today's video we're going to be looking at this holiday jukebox by Mr. Christmas. Has lights and music, and yeah, that's about all it does. You press one of these buttons on the front and it plays one of these tracks. There's a couple of volume up and down buttons and 8 different buttons to select the music. I'll push one here and just to make that stop so I don't get a copyright strike. But yeah, as you can see, it lights up. The little tree lights up on the inside. These light pipes around the edges light up. And yeah, there's a good bit of light going on. But this thing's fairly boring. That's about all it does. And frankly, if I want to play any music, I'll probably just end up doing that on YouTube. So I want to look at hacking this, maybe turn it into something a little bit more useful. But I think the first thing to do is go ahead and get this thing out of the box, which, yeah, it's still in there. I think someone may have taken this out before, but I haven't taken this off yet. So we're about to find out if this thing has anything interesting around the back together. But yeah, let's get this thing out of here. Okay, just lifts out. And looks like it came with some instructions if you can't figure out how to push buttons. And yeah, that's about all that's in the box. So, all right. So yeah, this Mr. Christmas Jukebox, it's not very interesting, but some things kind of caught my eye is that, you know, we have this clear plastic or acrylic here, and the light kind of travels along the edges here. The interior here lights up a little bit. The tree doesn't spin, which I feel like is a pretty big miss. That would be pretty cool. Normally on the inside of a jukebox, you would expect something to spin, records, CDs, tapes, I don't know, something. But anyway, so what I wanted to do was just basically gut everything out of the inside of this, maybe keep the button board, whatever these are attached to on the inside, see if maybe we can't fit some better lights, and I don't know, let's see what we could maybe turn this into. So part of this project, I wanted to look at what if I can do this project with no extra parts. And what I mean by that is, like any other you know, kind of hacker or modder out there, anyone into electronics has certainly captured their fair share of you know, random microcontrollers. I think I have a couple of ESP32s. Here's an ESP8266. Let's see, I have some of those DF mini player miniature MP3 playing little modules here, and basically these just have a MP3 decoder and a miniature audio amp on these, and I think you send them some I2C based commands and they'll play music. So if we wanted to replicate any of this thing's music playing capabilities, no shortage of LEDs and LED light strips of all manner of these. Most of these are the WS2811 or WS2812 based protocol. I have some here, and these are the ones that I think will probably be most interesting, is that they are individual LEDs on these little boards, and helpfully they even come pre-wired between them. So yeah, I think that'll be kind of interesting. And to spice it up a little bit, I thought I would dig out a motor. So here's a gear-reduced motor right here, and a small motor control drive board. I think I have another couple of these, different versions of these laying around. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, just a ton of extra parts from various different projects over the years, and thought it'd be interesting to see, you know, can we get some of these parts inside of this, and maybe we can figure out something interesting for this thing to do. So I think the first thing is yeah, let's go ahead and get this thing open, and I don't know, I'm just going to start cutting wires, because again, I don't care anything about how this thing is currently built or wired. You know, the only things that I think we might save are probably whatever these buttons are connecting to in the back, but yeah, I don't know, we'll see how that's wired up in a little bit, but yeah, let's go ahead and get this thing open. So first we'll just get some of these parts out of the way. And let's see, how do we, okay, well it just has a bunch of screws on the back, looks like 6, and a small battery compartment, and yeah, some super high quality alkaline batteries. Okay, I don't know Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys do with random batteries that you get in things like this? Because normally I like to use rechargeables for anything that I'm actually going to keep around, and I don't know. These are basically garbage as soon as I took them out. So I'll get this. Yeah, looks like they provided some extra mounts here for different packaging. I don't know. Not really sure. But, and it does seem to have a selector switch on the back for selecting whether it plays one song or, oh man, 8? This could have been 8 times as worse. Oh man. All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and get the screws out of this thing, and yeah, we'll take it from there. Okay, well, I unloosened all the screws, and I don't know, only kind of 2 of them came out. One went flying somewhere. So let's see, how do we get this to come off? Okay, looks like, I don't know, did I not loosen this screw? Okay, all right. So, yeah, all right. I'll try and save some of these screws, put them back in later. But, okay, yeah, so there's definitely a bunch of wires in here, a little bit more than I was expecting. I kind of expected this to just be one giant circuit board, but, yeah, I guess there's enough different parts in all the different areas here that they needed to run wires to all of that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to start cutting these because frankly, I don't think I'm going to save any of this, and pretty low quality wire. So yeah, let's cut all that away. Yeah, and I'll leave a little bit of the wire on here just so I can remember, not that it's terribly important, but what colors went where. So okay, so there's the back panel free. Any more screws coming out of there? All right. All right, so yeah, it looks like there's a small circuit board on here for that switch, which is a little bit more than I would have expected just for a switch, and speaker and our battery compartment. So yeah, not much going here on the back, but should be a good mounting point if we want to mount any of our electronics here on the inside. And then, okay, so let's take a better look at the inside here. So, yeah, obviously this is definitely the board right here that's running the show. See some capacitors and a number of screws, and yeah, that's where most of the wires go, so that would sort of make sense. So, yeah, this looks like this piece. Okay, this is just kind of coming out. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, so I'll cut some more of these wires. And cut more wires. There's a lot more wires in here than I would have expected. So, all right, come on. Okay. So yeah, it looks like this top piece came out with the tree, and then there's a couple of lights, it looks like, that run up to that. So yeah, I wonder if we can unscrew this tree and potentially mount it on the motor. If not, I'll just run some lights up to it and call that a day. But yeah, all right. So yeah, that's the inside back piece. Put that to the side, and gives us a good bit better view in here. So yeah, it looks like there's a light that runs down to light up that interior bit, and then there's some LED wires down here that probably go to the lights, or this plexiglass bit that runs around the front edge. So let's go ahead and get this circuit board out of here. I'm pretty interested to see what that's all about. All right, so yeah, there's all the screws from this circuit board. So let's get this thing out of here and see what it looks like. Okay, some hot glue going on, some additional lights. So yeah, there's our circuit board, and interestingly, it looks like these chips aren't potted. So I bet one of these is a microcontroller, and the other one's probably some sort of EPROM there. So I don't know, potentially you could dump this and get the songs off of here, potentially even reprogram it if you really wanted to. But I don't know, we've already taken it apart. It's not going back together with this stuff back in there. And yeah, I don't know, just kind of interested to see. It looks like some of the wires are labeled. Looks like there's yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Some of the wires are labeled, but again, not terribly important. It looks like it just has pads for a number of LEDs. The try feature. Oh, that's interesting. That blue wire. So yeah, I guess this this switch here on the back, right here, that was somehow related to the try mode. But yeah, I don't know. Let's go ahead and I'm just gonna cut some more of these wires and get this thing on out of here. And yeah, I really need a new set of cutters here. These things are not doing the job anymore. But yeah, there's our main controller. So I don't know. Yeah, I definitely don't want to just chuck this, but I'll have to see if it makes sense to try to rewire this. Looks like the keys are numbered. Interesting thing though is it looks like the front panel had many more positions for buttons, but looks like they just ripped them off before they put them in there. But yeah, doesn't look like there's any extra pads on this board, so even if I did have some extra bits of plastic, it's not really going to do me much good. But I think 8 buttons and those 2 volume buttons, not sure if we'll keep them as volume buttons, but yeah, we'll see. So yeah, I guess before these fall out, I'll just get these buttons out of here. Okay, let's see what else falls out. Okay, there's our screws and our buttons, so move all that to the side. So yeah, now we're left with a pretty empty shell, not a whole lot going on. We have some loose wires in there, but yeah, I think the next thing I'll do is get these screws that hold the light bars on, and yeah, probably open this up as well, because it looks like there was LEDs here on the board that poke down into there. So yeah, I don't know if we'll replicate that, but you know, I'm probably just going to remove some more parts, see how far it makes sense to strip this thing down. All right, so does that get us any closer to getting this stuff off? Looks like these are, I don't know, they're definitely loose, but they're not just coming off. Okay, oh, okay, it's probably just a little bit of glue or something, but yeah, so there's that one. Does this one want to come off? Yeah, I don't necessarily want to break it. But, oh, okay, yeah, so it looks like there's a little bit of hot glue just chilling up here. So yeah, we'll just get that off. Okay. And looks like there was some over here as well. All right, yeah, that should be a little bit better. Okay, so yeah, there we go. This piece is coming off now. Okay, and yeah, as you can see, there's just a couple of LEDs in these things that shoot up into these light guides. So how about this top one? Okay, it feels like it came off most of the way. I wonder if there's more glue. Okay, yeah, it actually looks like they glued the LED in there. So that's kind of preventing this piece from coming off. Let's see if we can get that glue off. I don't know, just off enough. Maybe if I just bend that LED out of the way a little bit. So let's see. Okay. All right, so there are those silver pieces of trim. Of course, they're just plastic. And yeah, it looks like we still have these here on the sides. And that's kind of interesting. The kind of expected these light pipes to all be one unit, but it looks like they're actually separate pieces. So that's kind of interesting. So yeah, I wonder what else is holding on. I actually don't see anything that's holding those on, but I wonder if they melted these onto there. That kind of sucks. Yeah, it looks like that could be the case. So, let's see. I mean, they do turn a little bit for whatever that's worth. But oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, so just pulling that off, and yeah, so it looks like they just kind of melted these there a little bit. Let's see if we can do the same with this one. Okay, all right. Yeah, that shouldn't be too bad. All right, so there's our light guides off, and oh yeah, this is kind of what I was hoping, is that these weren't actually green plastic, is that they just have this, I don't know, I guess it's a sticker or paint. Yeah, there's just something here on the back that's actually green. So if I could get that off, that would, you know, definitely make lighting this up a little bit more exciting. So yeah, I think that's the bulk of it. But yeah, I don't know. While we're removing stuff, I might as well go ahead and, yeah, I don't know. I think we'll just leave that piece on there for now. But yeah, I don't know. So that's the kind of stripped down, taken apart Mr. Christmas Jukebox. So let's talk about what this thing could actually be. And one thing I was thinking about is as a home automation controller. And before everyone gets ahead of themselves, I do have a home automation system using HomeAssistant, and really love it. It's great. But one of the things about HomeAssistant and just home automation in general is unless you can automate it, you're still left pushing buttons somewhere. So a lot of the time I just end up using the HomeAssistant app to you know, turn on the lights here, or turn on the TV there, or something like that. And you know, I do have a number of automations set up with HomeAssistant, but it's kind of stuff relating to, you know, I opened this door 5 minutes ago, turn on the light, turn off the light, that kind of stuff. And what I did a number of years ago is I connected the lights on our Christmas tree to HomeAssistant, so I can you know, turn the lights on the tree and have different patterns. I think I used you know, lights not too dissimilar from these here, where I think these are 5 volt, but I think I use 12 volt WS 2812, 2811 LEDs on the tree, and I can control all of that through HomeAssistant. And not too long ago, I also made a Lego train that goes around the Christmas tree. So yeah, I thought what would kind of be interesting here is if, you know, maybe this can sit off to the side, you know, somewhere in the room, and the tree could actually be controlled via these buttons. And, you know, maybe we put some sort of music in here, but yeah, I don't know if I'll keep these songs. And incidentally, these labels are, man, this is some really shoddy quality. I mean, this one's not even centered. They're all cut a little bit differently. You can kind of see why is the volume up so much further than the volume down? I mean, it would make sense if the buttons were on top of each other, but yeah, I don't know. So probably end up peeling off all of these labels, and of course this Try Me label over here. So yeah, I don't know. I think the first thing to do is to kind of see, I don't know, can we, where did that board go? losing it in all the Mr. Christmas parts. So yeah, I think the first thing to see is probably see how much of this I can rewire. I'll beep out the traces here and see what the matrix kind of looks like, and yeah, just see what are these buttons that I can interface with. So yeah, I'll be back in a minute and hopefully have this board a little bit more wrangled. And we're back. So I went ahead and off camera and did a couple of things just to try and cut out some of the, tedious, kind of boring bits. But what I went ahead and did is I went ahead and removed all of the components from the button board here and just cleaned that up with a little bit of solder wick. And then I went ahead and cut into some of the traces, just exposed them a little bit with a utility knife, and went ahead and soldered on wires. So there's 10 buttons total here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 here at the bottom. And these already shared a common pin between all of these, so really no rewiring necessary. But yeah, just kind of tacked on those wires where appropriate in between the buttons. So yeah, I think we can go ahead and get this button board installed back into the main chassis here. And yeah, so let's just go over a couple of other things before we get into that. The microcontroller that I did end up deciding to use is this one right here. It's an ESP32. Pretty standard affair, not very breadboard friendly just because of how big it is. And yeah, I didn't have one handy that had the Wi-Fi antenna on the module, so yeah, just a little RPSMA adapter here for the antenna, and I'll probably just hot glue that somewhere in the case. I'm going to be using the DF Mini MP3 player module. It's pretty handy. It interfaces over a serial or UART connection between the ESP32 here, so you can send it all sorts of commands. And yeah, that's it a little bit more up close. Nothing too special about these. And the LEDs that I decided to end up using are the ones that came on this spool here. Where they have, just their individual pixels with, some wires in between them. But what's nice about that is that they ended up to be a good bit smaller than some of the other options. Let's see here. Yeah, so the thing is that even though these had a much smaller, pitch between each of the individual, come on, there we go. So even though these had a much smaller pitch between them, what ended up happening is that these are actually a good bit taller and wouldn't fit within the little shrouds around the jukebox here. So yeah, I think we'll use these LEDs, and what I went ahead and ended up doing was in some of the tighter places, I kind of stacked them on top of each other. And yeah, try and get that in focus so you can kind of see that. So yeah, I just kind of stacked them, rotated the one in the middle slightly because there are some components on either side that would kind of prevent the stacking. But yeah, so that seemed to work out pretty well. And yeah, I think that should give us about all of the main components that we'll need. Not going to be making the tree rotate. It's going to take too much time to fiddle with all of that plastic and kind of remake the way that mounts. And yeah, as it stands, I think I'm completely out of I/O pins on my ESP32 here between these 10 buttons running the LED lights, interfacing with the MP3 player module here. And then I also decided to, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but I did the same thing and cleaned up this circuit board that has the switch here on the back. So it's actually a 3-position switch. So I'll be able to wire that up to some of the additional GPIO. Maybe I'll make that change some sort of a mode. But yeah, I'm just trying to wire some of the things up so I can get it back together and really focus on the software side of that. And that's where I think some of the time will kind of go in this project. But yeah, so again, I think the next thing is to probably go ahead and remount this on the inside. I did leave a good bit of wire here, but yeah, since this is the most amount of connections, that's going to kind of dictate where on the inside I end up placing the ESP module. So yeah, I think go ahead and do that and get these wires hooked up to the ESP here, and yeah, be right back. Okay, so yeah, button board is all wired up and working perfectly. So yeah, here's the finished button board again, and yeah, I went ahead and put these, kind of like these little rubber domes that attach to the back like that so they don't fall off, and yeah, just connected that up to the ESP there, and kind of did a little bit of cable management, and yeah, there's going to be a ton of wires in this thing for sure, probably more than there was before. So yeah, I think that part is sorted, but before I get that installed, just because it's going to be a little bit fiddly to keep connecting wires to the dev board there, but yeah, I think the next thing to tackle is the LEDs. So here's one of those bottom pieces. And yeah, you can see how well these fit in here once they've been stacked. So yeah, let's take a look at some of the actual light pipes here. So what I went ahead and did, and the green that was on the back of the two outer ones on each side, that actually turned out to be some sort of a paint. So I took these apart and just lightly sanded off the green until I could get all of the green off. At least within reason. There's just a few little specks of it here and there, but it doesn't bleed through and you can't really see it. So yeah, I think that'll be fine. And then yeah, so these will obviously just get reinstalled back onto the sides here. I also did go ahead and cut out some just some pieces of paper, and so those will fit behind these and kind of give it a little bit of a contrast, so you don't just see the red bleeding through here on the front. And yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and get these installed. Again, I'm just using these kind of in groups of 3 so that they can individually shoot down each of these light pipes, and a little bit of testing off camera, and I think that's going to look really nice. And yeah, same thing goes for the top here. So I have a couple of LED packs here that I've created, and so those will just fit into this piece here and shoot down those light pipes on either side. So yeah, just a little bit of hot glue, and yeah, hopefully do a jump cut here, and it'll just be fully assembled with the light pipes back on the front, and these little brackets or molding pieces, whatever you want to call them, with the lights in there, and hopefully we can turn them all on and see what that's actually going to look like. So yeah, let's go ahead and get right to it. And yeah, I forgot to mention, I did create a kind of a mapping of some of my connections here. So yeah, I mapped out which of the individual buttons I wanted to go to which of the GPIO pins. This part, none of this really matters, especially for these. I could have connected them in any order, because I can just remap those in the software later on. And then some of these, so this is the switch positions 1, 2, and 3, and I did actually have to figure out the pin out here just using the continuity mode on the multimeter here. So yeah, I figured out the correct places to connect up to for that, and yeah, I have my light 1 output. That will be the LED strips, so those will all be coming off of one of the GPIO pins, and then light 2, we'll kind of talk about that one later, and yeah, just some other notes and stuff here. But yeah, so this kind of thing is handy just as you're working on a project, just to jot down some notes, and I'll probably fold this paper up and leave it somewhere on the inside for future me to pull my hair out over this project. But yeah, pin mappings. Okay, so yeah, that took a little bit of doing, but yeah, got it all put back together. At least, these light pipes on the front and these little housings. LEDs are in behind here, just hot glued into place. And yeah, let's go ahead and fire it up. I'm just going to use one of these cheap LED controller modules. Let's see what happens. And yeah, there you go. So you can't really see the kind of individualized light pipes with this particular effect. It's just a generic rainbow. But yeah, you can see the color here, and the color as well on this part as well. So yeah, let's take a look at what I did inside. So if I flip it around, and yeah, it's a little bit of a mess of wires, but this will clean up at some point. So what's going on is that each of the individual pieces has their own set of wires, obviously power and ground. And I'm using white as the input and green as the output. So one set of lights feeds into the other, and then feeds into the next as well. And yeah, here's just a couple of more of those LEDs, little LED pixels here. So yeah, that pretty much sorts out the front lighting. And yeah, I still have to kind of decide what's going on with this piece here. So I think I might make an executive decision and just go with the original white LEDs that were in this part, just because it doesn't really make sense to, I think, have different colors on the inside of here. Certainly something I could revisit at a later date, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see when we get there. But yeah, I think the next thing to do is to go ahead and sort out the sound playing functionality. So that's going to start here on this back piece. And what I was thinking for that is that let's see, where is it? And I went ahead and cut out the separators between the batteries here. You can't see that from the outside. But yeah, I think I'll get this glued in on the inside of this compartment just so we can still access the SD card to change out the MP3s. And I might even stick the barrel jack for the DC 5-volt input here as well. And potentially maybe just cut a small notch out of the bottom of the battery cover so that a cord can kind of, you know, come out of the back but not stick out any from the back, because the barrel will add a good bit of depth. And, you know, maybe this could just be placed up against a wall or something like that, kind of like how it would have been originally, because it would have ran on batteries. There are no wires coming out of it. So yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and get this connected up and yeah, probably glued on the inside of here. I did a quick test with this speaker, and it's actually a little bit louder and better quality than I would have thought. So I think I'll just leave that in there, especially because it's stuck in there with a bunch of glue. And yeah, I still need to kind of sort out what I'm doing with this switch down here. But yeah, I'll probably go ahead and just wire that up as well. And yeah, I don't know. So I think I'll go ahead and get started on that and come back. All right, so I got the back panel wired up, and yeah, I got the wires hooked up to the switch there, speakers hooked up. I have the MP3 player modules mounted in here in the back, just some hot glue, and yeah, SD card still ejects, power input, and yeah, I think that sorts the back panel out. I got the tree and the little lights on the inside of the tree wired back up. I'm just going to stick with white LEDs for that, because it doesn't really make sense given that there's you know, different colors of things on here anyways. That wouldn't look good. So yeah, I'll just stick with the white, and did a little bit of cleanup on the inside of the front housing. So yeah, I just you know, shot some hot glue in various places just to kind of hold the wires together, joined up most of the power and ground wires. So yeah, I think that gets us pretty close. So yeah, there's only one red and one black that'll connect to the back panel, and then a couple of extra power wires to go to the ESP board. And then our white wire will be the input to all of the LEDs in the housing. And yeah, I did end up putting a pixel here, but I'll probably just drive this one mostly white. But it was just convenient given that, you know, I already had all the wiring in here for that. So yeah, let's I think the next thing to do is to go ahead and start getting some of the pieces back in here. I'll go ahead and get this front kind of display piece back in there, and yeah, get the button board connected back up and mounted back in there. And yeah, I think that's getting pretty close to this project being done. So that's pretty exciting. So be right back. Okay, well, I think that's it. Everything is soldered up to the ESP board here. It's kind of like the motherboard of this whole project, I guess. Yeah, so we have the keypad, the ESP, we have the tree that acts as a status LED for ESPHome, switch wired up, buttons wired up, speaker wired up, lights wired up. I think this thing's ready to go back together. So I'm going to go ahead and get the control panel screwed back in here, and get this light assembly back in the front, and we'll do a power on test and see if this thing is actually working. Okay, I think that's it. it is all ready to go back together. So let me turn it around. And yeah, there we go. So yeah, you can see on the inside here, I have the ESP kind of mounted. I mounted it on some little bit of a standoff material so I could still get the USB cable in there just in case I need to reprogram it manually. But the nice thing is that, you know, with OTA updates, that should never really be necessary. And yeah, I got the light kit back in, got the antenna over here, just hot glued onto the side. So yeah, I think it's time to put the screws back in and turn this thing on and see if it actually works. I really hope that it does now that it's all back together. So yeah, let's get some screws in this sucker. And yeah, the nice thing is that you know, I left myself enough wire here so that it can you know, separate with the back fully off, and there's not too many wires to disconnect if I really had to. So yeah, let's just go ahead and make sure none of these get caught up in anything, but yeah, look at that, perfect fit. So I'll get a couple of screws back in here and we will give this thing a test. All right, I believe we're ready for a power on test. So I'm gonna go ahead and connect the power. And yep, that'll just connect in right here in the back. And then I can route this cable out of the back. I cut a little notch in the battery door there so the wire just comes out but can be disconnected. And yeah, look at that. Looks like it turned on and everything. So I have the star of the tree there will light up depending on the status, its connection with HomeAssistant and just general Wi-Fi status. So that's a pretty good indicator. And yeah, I don't know. Let's press one of these buttons. And I didn't load in any licensed Christmas music. I picked a couple of tracks from the YouTube audio library. So I'm just going to hit one of these buttons and, whoa, that is very loud. Oh. Okay. Looks like I have volume up and down mixed up, but again, I can fix that in software. And yeah, if I press the button again, it'll pause the track that it was playing, and I can pick a different track and it'll just start playing that. So yeah, this is great. And of course, you know, everything about this is automatable with HomeAssistant. So, you know, I can put new music on this with a change of the SD card. And of course, you know, I can wire this in. The buttons here can have different actions in the house. I think that's going to be something interesting that hopefully I'm going to show next. So yeah, let's do that. All right. So we have the Mr. Christmas set up, configured with ESPHome and HomeAssistant. Have some basic lights running on it right now, but I went ahead and set up a couple of automations. So yeah, you can see the lights on the tree are off. So yeah, let's just go ahead and turn those on. And yeah, look at it go. And let's, I don't know, let's get the train involved too. Hey, that's pretty cool, right? That's kind of all we wanted out of this project. So yeah, thanks for following along. And if you're interested in the code, that's going to be up on GitHub and link down in the description below. So yeah, I just want to wish everyone a very happy holidays. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye.